Hello class, today we're going to be looking at the square and the square root of rational numbers. If you remember exponent laws, the quotient rule states that a over b all squared is equal to a squared over b squared. So we take that squared and the square or the second exponent, and we raise each one of these bases, the numerator and the denominator, to that exponent. Similarly, you can guess or assume that a over b, if you take the square root of that, which is the inverse operation of square, that would be a, or the square root of a, over the square root of b. So let's see how that could work in some examples in the next few slides. So first, let's look at this table here. So if we have an area that has a 49 squared units, what would be the length of the side? So if you have a 49, so that would be 7 by 7 square. So if you have a 7, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you have a square like that. That would be your 7 by 7, and you shade the whole thing. That would be your 49. So that would be 49 units. You see, 49 units squared. Okay, so each side would be 7 in this case. But what if we have something that is a little bit different than what we have been seeing before, which is 49 over 100. So if you have that, so that really, if you want to write it, another way of writing it is 0.49. Okay, so that is less than 1. So if you have a 1 by 1 square, if you have a 1 by 1 square, if you take only 7 of those, so you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you shade this area here, that would represent what we are talking about in here. So the length in this case would be 0.7. So the length is 7 out of 1, or 7 parts of 1, or 0.7 by 0.7. Okay, so that would be 0.7. And if you notice, 0.7 is actually larger than 0.49. Okay, and that shouldn't be surprising, because 0.7 is 7 over 10 times 7 over 10. 7 by 7 is 49. 10 by 10 is 100. And so that would be 0.7 times 0.7 equals 0.49. Okay, so let's look at 64. Should be, again, that's 8 by 8. So the length would be 8. This would be 8 by 8 here, and the length would be 8. So 64 should be 8 by 8 on top, and on the bottom we have 100, or 10 times 10. So we have 0.8 in here. Again, if you want to represent it, you can use this second one. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 here. And then you can color it in. Okay, so that would be what we have here. Now the difficulty would be if you have something that is larger than 1. So what would you do in this case? If you have something like that, what you can do is let's erase this and see what we can do here. So even if you're saying if you're using the 1 by 1 model, so let's look at the 121 over 100. So here we have 1. We have 1.21. Okay, so that will, to represent this using algebra tiles, you are gonna have to break it down into 1 full square. You have 1 full square and 21 squares on the other one. So that would be a little bit confusing. So the best thing to do is to learn rules like what we were looking at earlier, where you have the whole well, you can use just mathematical operations. So it's not going to be ideal to always draw squares and use drawings to solve these problems. So for the 1.21, so what two numbers multiplied together would give you 121, and what two numbers multiplied together would give you 100. So if you're looking at 121 is the same as 11 times 11. 100 is the same as 10 times 10. So you can tell that this here is a perfect square. So the square root of 121 over 100 is the same as the square root of 121 over the square root of 100, and that should be 11 over 10, or if you want to write in decimal form, 1.1. 1.1, or if you would like to write with fractions, would be 1 and 1/10. Okay, similarly 144 over 100, that's the same as the square root of 144 over the square root of 100, which is 12 over 10, or 1 and 1 over 5. Okay. So the last thing, let's look at the square root of decimals. Decimals, the easiest thing to do is to convert them to fractions and then see if you can solve it. So if you have the square root of 0.25, that is the square root of 25 hundredths. Which is the same as the square root of 25 over the square root of 100, which is square root of 25 is 5, the square root of 100 is 10, so 0.5 is your answer, or 1 over 2. If you want to solve, now if you want to square the numbers, same deal, you convert it to fractions first. So 5 over 10, or the square of 5/10. Okay, so that is, from the exponent laws, is the square of 5 over the square of 10, which is 25 over 100, or 0.25. That's it.